Now, I know you're not against Botox, but when we spoke, you said maybe it's not the first resort.
Actually, that's not entirely true.
Okay. Okay. Correct me here. Tell me about your thoughts on Botox. And I know just before we even start recording, you said you were publishing some papers on the
Mhm.
safety of different therapies. So maybe you could even touch on that as well.
Yeah, so that's quite simply a brand name. So we have seen this with celebrities saying, I don't use Botox. Well, they're just getting another brand of it. I mean, they're not fooling anybody. What I care about is actually the molecular structure of the molecule,
Mm.
right? So there are different products on the market that have the core neurotoxin. That's what's inhibiting the message from the nerve to the muscle. That's what makes those neuromodulators work. It's actually basically slicing the SNP protein so that the acetylcholine can't then get released into the cleft to then make the muscles fire essentially. So it's kind of like just snipping that little receptor for about a 3 to 4 month period. But some of the products out there have preservatives, they have additional complexing proteins that simply don't need to be there. So newsflash, they're European products that are ahead of the game. The Europeans have been way ahead of us compared to North America in the anti-aging space. Their wellness centers have had things like biochargers, things like other things to support a more healthy biofield and also just create a more coherent field in the actual rejuvenation space. And yeah, in my papers, I definitely put out there that unknown long-term side effects do occur with injectables and facial rejuvenation. So I like to recommend that clinicians take a good 7 to 8 year, just wait and see for about 7, 8 years what the side effects are going to be. Because I'll tell you, I've seen people that before seeing me had other, permanent facial rejuvenation injectables. And then over 10 years later, then they'll have some type of inflammatory effect. And also some of the other things I'm publishing is patient selection. So really reducing treatments with, I mean, this isn't medical advice. Always seek the guidance of your licensed physician. This is educational information only, but patient selection is key. So not getting a treatment if you're not feeling well, maybe reconsidering if you have an underlying autoimmune condition, because based on my conversations with those that are knee deep in the health and wellness space, these are the people they're seeing higher rates of injuries with, are those with underlying conditions. So when I present these topics at aesthetic nursing, aesthetic medicine conferences, I'm always concerned if I'm going to get a little bit of flack for it because it's such a different way of looking at things. Because these aren't benign rejuvenation treatments. They carry risks, right? Some people are going to respond better to things than others. But I gotta say, the feedback I get when I present on just different ways of offering these treatments with more of an emphasis on the knowledge of, okay, this might not play out well for this client because of this. It's actually being very well received, and it's getting me international attention. I actually just submitted an abstract and was accepted to speak. They reached out to me, a German nursing conference, and which is really cool. So people are resonating with this different approach to aging and my approach to really focusing on skin health from the inside out.
Yeah, that's super cool because, I would imagine that some people may be resistant because it's new. People are always, I know in
Totally.
medicine, as soon as my father started practicing something alternative, there was skepticism in the hospital where he worked, and he just kept going that direction and, pushed that skepticism aside. And some doctors absolutely championed that and continued there and pioneering new ways to bring other things, other options into the medical fields. And I think you're seeing an acceptance as long as there is something to help with basically replacing or adding on to it, right? So if you're just going to say Botox is bad, don't use it. That's one way of saying, well, that's my business. I can't continue on. But if you're saying, hey, there are other things you could add to actually get better results, maybe, or even less, let's say, risky ones, and you could still get good results. I think that's a different approach than just attacking something and walking away from the podium, right? And so
100%.
that's why, it's really interesting that you're bringing all these different elements in and still saying, yes, we could utilize Botox, but maybe we should look at some other things first before we go there. and really understand the risks of everything we may use on a client or patient.